Hello, already welcome back to Ghostly French Toast, and today we're talking about we're doing another little JJK special, cause I was at IHOP the other day, and some guy commented on my JJK shirt, and he's like, the Shinjuku Showdown was absolute dog shit, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Shinjuku Showdown is not that bad, and I personally think it's a good final arc for JJK. So this is gonna be my reasoning, discussing all like the big bullet points that I think a lot of people have about the arc, and I'm leaving Hikari versus Urume because that is completely valid out. Because I do agree that was an absolute dog shit move, that there wasn't that much fighting in that fight. It was hyped up for nothing. So, for context for people, because this is mostly a Souls channel, but I do cover every manga every now and again. But the Shinjuku Showdown is the final arc to JJK, or Jujutsu Kaisen. It started from Gojo versus Sukuna, and followed all the way to the end, as the final arc does. Wrapped up around end of last year, which is pretty, it went on for a long time. For around a year, the final arc was going on, even with having weekly drops. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the final arc, because a lot of people are saying like, oh, it's the Sukuna cycle. I'll talk about the Sukuna cycle in a little bit, but I think the Sukuna cycle is a great cycle, and you just gotta go reread it. It's such a great arc. Sukuna cycle is great. Rushed ending chapters. There was a lot to be left out, and Mr. Man of the Hour, potential man, Megami, which I'm going to talk about too, because I think that's a very interesting topic to talk about, because I think Megami, as people dog on him a lot, because he does deserve to get dogged on, he did have his old arc in the end, which I think is really good. And sorry if I sound sick, because I am. In the Disney style of ending for JJK. The Sukuna cycle. When it's coming out, it was rough. So what the Sukuna cycle is, so throughout the arc, a new character would come into the fight, do something super cool, fight Sukuna, and then Sukuna pulls out, I haven't used this technique since the Heian era, bam, and that cycle repeats. A new character comes out at the end of every chapter. And when it was coming out, I do agree, it was rough, because felt very stale. You had Yuta, then Maki, and it was just this downward spiral, it felt like, for a little bit, and that's where a lot of people complain about the Sukuna cycle. But in contrast, looking back on it, because I reread the entire arc before talking about this, it allows each character to shine, because I feel like, look at Demon Slayer, because I think that's the closest thing you can compare it to. Demon Slayer, where that final arc, you had everyone didn't really have a moment to shine. They had like one hit, and that was like the big problem, where I like how everyone was able to get like their moment to shine against Sukuna, because they were fighting, this is a coughing baby versus an atomic bomb. Sukuna shouldn't have lost in the end, I think. If everything panned out like how it was completely BS in the end. But the Sukuna cycle is a really good cycle. We had moments like Yuta's Domain, Kushikabe's fight, which is probably one of the best fights in the series. I like the Kushikabe fight, because Kushikabe is the GOAT. Hikarume, such a great fight as well. It shows how powerful Sukuna is, because I think for a while, a lot of people were kind of dogging on Sukuna after the Gojo fight, because he needed help from Daddy Raga, all that. So having Sukuna basically go through the entire verse twice is absolutely wild. And it had each week's like highlights. I remember in school when we got the ending, he saw the ghost, the one who buried with his own hands. He came back, and I go up to my friend. We were screaming across, "Oh my gosh, he's back! Everyone's back!" And I remember that was when Not Like Us came out, and that's when My Hero ended, where it was tweeted more Gojo coming back over My Hero's entire ending. So I think it was the Sukuna cycle allowed for such peak performances to really shine and really emphasize character development, because there's not a lot of character development in the series, but it shows within the fights are how the characters have grown, which I think is very interesting. Rushed ending. Ending chapters did feel a little bit rushed, I do agree, especially with the ass pull of Nobara. And we do know that Gege was burnt out in the end. He felt like he was anticipating, like he had such high expectations from the fans, which is fair. It is fair to feel that way, especially when you have this big a manga that had just this big jump with Mappa dropping their anime, all that, which that's completely reasonable to feel. And the Nobara was an ass pull, I do agree. I wish there was more build up for Nobara, because Gege kind of confirmed Nobara is dead. But the epilogue was pretty good. I feel like one of the big things, the epilogue didn't come out for like a month or two later. And once we got the epilogue, it was so great. It was great seeing Mahito again. And it provides character development, because that's the biggest problem with JJK, is I think JJK doesn't really have good character development or good world building. But it has, it's all aura, and it's great, and I love the aura. But this is such a great character development for Sukuna. Sukuna admits that he lost, and that's such a great thing. And that sounds dumb on paper, but Sukuna admitting that he lost is such a big thing in the manga, which I think it's just a great ending. A lot to be left out. Yuji's domain expansion. Don't worry about that. Sorry. And that was a big thing where that was kind of just thrown in there. I'm glad it happened, but I wish there was more explanation. Potential man Megami. I think Megami did have a little bit of problems where there was a lot he could have done. Right. He could have helped slow down Sukuna, but I think having that development where from the start of the manga, where he's just slowly becoming like just working on himself and then just going straight down after realizing what happened. And then in the end, he talks to Sukuna. He's like, yeah, you're kind of fucked up. And he helps Sukuna get basically removed off of him, which I think is a great thing. The stuff we did get was great. Gojo versus Sukuna. People dog on Gojo versus Sukuna. I like Gojo versus Sukuna, and it's probably one of the best fights in manga. Gojo versus Sukuna is such a great fight on both ends. Gojo does great, Sukuna does really good. And speaking of that, we're going to talk about it's a great fight overall. World cutting slash is fair, and that's my honest opinion. I think world cutting slash is a completely fair thing. We see how Sukuna was learning it through the entire fight through Maharaga, and basically playing on the backlines while Maharaga did the heavy lifting in the fight. Sukuna was just learning. And I don't think Sukuna would have won that fight if didn't have Maharaga. I'm not Sukuna Glazer, I'm not Gojo Glazer. But Sukuna was just learning in the background. I don't think Sukuna was really fighting once Maharaga came out. He stood in the backlines. He didn't want to get involved. Gojo did really great in the fight, balancing all three opponents, all that, and it was just a very good overall job by him. Potential man. Megami didn't have that much time to shine. Even in the end, having that just little ending with Sukuna was really nice to see. With Megami. Shows character development, and as I was saying earlier, these last few chapters, and I wish it was more spread out through the entire manga, but these last few chapters shows a lot of character development for all the characters, which I think is amazing. And Shinjuku Showdown overall is a very good ending. It's out of all the new gens, it is the best new gen ending. And it's a good ending with him. It allows him to basically move on and not be as much of a burden on himself, because throughout the entire manga, he's very hard on himself. He's really ready to sacrifice himself for anything. Just because you got Maharaga, all that. But with this, you have him basically being like, I'm okay, I'm happy, I'm content with myself, which is really good. I do wish he helped out more. That's something I do agree with everybody. The Disney ending, everybody lives, which is gay. I don't like how Hagurumi comes back, and I get it's supposed to set up for the next JJK style, like kind of series, which I'm very excited for. But it does kind of suck. Everybody lives. It kind of sucks. I wish Hagurumi stayed dead, all that, and it would have made it more impactful. I feel like instead of setting up the next manga, the Gojo clan, and I think it's a very interesting thing that Gege brought everyone back. Hopefully it plays into the next series, whatever, but yeah, that's it for this time. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time on Ghost.